Ashe, we're moving on to the teaching now. Kemetic Spirituality. You might want to have a notebook. We who are spiritual do believe that knowing thyself is the ultimate form of enlightenment. Know thyself. It's not about knowing other people. It's not about knowing anything other than thyself. And then you're going to see that thyself is in all things. It starts with self. See, a lot of people are looking outward at what other people are doing and what patterns they have and what they see and things like that, but they're not recognizing how self moves in it. So I'm going to review for the people who were not here before. Y'all go ahead and tap the screen, share the live, and let's continue. My last two videos are on YouTube now. So if you like this topic and you really are into the study of self, this is for some people who want to know themselves. I'm making my audience clear, because if this is not for you, you can exit. We want to know ourselves in deeper and deeper ways so we can also, right, create the realities that we desire, so that we can also get to know others in deeper and deeper ways. It's never been more real or apparent to me than now that most people do not know how to get to know one another in a deep way. They know how to look at daily practices. They know how to look at hobbies, favorite colors, what you're scared of. And even they have become masters at trauma bonding, right? Let me know your trauma. I want to know your trauma, what trauma you've been through. We went through the phase of that, right? But what else is there beyond this trauma that we're always talking about? Don't you know that you are a deep well? Okay. The counsel, that's the scripture. The counsel of a man's heart is a deep well, and a man of understanding will draw it out. Let me ask a question. Who here wants to know themselves so deeply that you also know others on that same level because you know how to do it? I'm not talking about the spiritual people who look at you and say, I see you, not them. Because sometimes what they're seeing is their projection. I'm talking about actually getting to know a soul because you know how to know yourself. Yes. Who else? Anybody here really wants to be deeply known? And not only deeply known, but deeply connected. At some point, you have enough of these shallow connections. I like you, you like me, let's go together. Oh, I feel like I love you, girl, let's be together. Oh, I want you to be my so-and-so, my spouse. So let's move together. And then you get together and you got arguments and you got confusion and contention. You find out you don't trust one another's heart. You blame one another. You accuse. You move in offense, defense. I know because I've been there. But I also know there is a more excellent way. So, like the Matrix, when Morpheus said, you have a choice. Hey, Kim. Sean said, yep, you could take the red pill or the blue pill. You could stay right where you are talking about, oh, relationships take work. You could stay there. And you got to forgive over and over and over again. You could stay there if you want to. It's cool. I'm not even trying to snatch that away from you, because when people don't know that there's something else, sometimes clinging to the thing that they know is going to provide the safety that they need. And I'm not here to take away your safety. I'm here to talk to people who want to go over and above, beyond, within, sideways, back and forth, spiral, whatever. All right, so let's review. I'm reading again from Kemetic Yoga, the philosophy of enlightenment. If you're a sapio, you're going to love this. Okay, so review the Ba. We're talking about the 9 parts of the self. The Ba is the heart/soul, which dwells in the Ka, Ka, with the power of metamorphosis. The power of metamorphosis is in your Ba. In other words, the power to change, to become something different, to hop timelines, is in your Ba, okay? Sometimes described as the soul and the higher self. I'm giving you also vocabulary so you can talk more in depth about these things. You know, everybody flings around the word ego, the ego this, the ego that. Sometimes they don't even know what the ego really is. And then they talk about their higher self. Sometimes they don't know what it is. They talk about intuition. Sometimes they have no clue what it is. I want us to be educated when we talk so that we can connect, but more importantly, so we can go deeper within. Ashe? All right. Sometimes described as the soul and the higher self. And it is seen as a spark from the universal Ba, God. Okay. So your Ba is your higher self. I want you to practice using that word. Great gratitude. Yes. Ba, we give thanks for the power of metamorphosis. Your Ba is seen as the spark from a spark from the universal Ba. The Ba may be dialogued with and can be a spiritual guide. In Ifa, we call that Ori. Your Ori is the first and foremost Orisha. Without your Ori, there's no you. There's nothing that you can do. There's no other Orisha you can connect with unless your Ori allow it. So in Kemetic spirituality, we call that Ba, or something similar to Ori. Let me put it that way. This is also the equivalent of the Hindu Atman. It is the indestructible, eternal, and immortal spark of life. I made a video in 2018 and it said, your spirit is the indestructible, infinite part of you. So when you say I, what I are you talking about? Right now, I'm talking about the I called Ba. Your Ba can be communicated with. It's a spiritual guide to the developing individual. Through the mind, now it's given a process. I hope you're taking notes. Through the mind, the Ba, which is your soul consciousness, through your mind, your Ba projects and keeps together an aggregate of physical elements, which is called your body. Through your mind, your Ba projects and holds together. You got that? It both projects and holds together the elements called your body. Your body is a combination of elements. I want you to start taking care of your body as such. Your body is a wonder. Your body is earth, air, fire, and water. Your body is not something to be abused. It is a temple of your Ba. So if you know that you need to drink enough water, drink it. How many of y'all be sitting around talking about, I know I don't drink enough water, but the majority of your system is made of water. You don't want to replenish yourself? Is that what you're saying? You want to stay in depletion? Is that what you're saying when you say, I know I don't drink enough water? A lot of people don't breathe deeply. It's short, shallow breathing. It keeps you in stress response. I know I don't breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. These are some things you can do right away to begin to honor your vessel. It's not just about the hair and the face and the nails and the feet and the butt and anything else we can talk about. We are a collective of elements called the physical body. When the soul has no more use for the physical body, it discards it and returns to the universal Ba if it's enlightened. We already went over this. So if you want, am I buffering? Am I buffering? So if you want to hear this entire teaching, go to YouTube. All right, here we go. If it's enlightened, you return to the universal Ba. Okay. If you're enlightened, you return to the universal Ba. Or you may seek experiences in one of the other bodies, the spiritual and astral body, where you may exist in heaven, which is the realm of light. We're not talking about the heaven where the 24 elders sit and the angels go back and forth and things like that. Not that. The realm of light. Now listen to this, okay? If it is not enlightened, is it punished? No. It will come into another body, another aggregate of elements, and have another experience in this life if it is not evolved. Is the goal to try to not come back here anymore because it's ghetto? No, no. Your higher self knows what you need for evolution. That's why you meet the people that you meet. That's why you have the experiences that you have. That's why you go the places that you go. That's why you have the desires that you have. That's why you have the aversions that you have also. It's to evolve you. But if you're having experiences and you're blaming other people, how are you being enlightened by that? You don't know thyself. You need to sit with your higher self and say, okay, higher self, I had that experience. What should I see that I don't see already? As opposed to, well, I'm never going to love like that again. And I'm never going to do this. And I'm never, know thyself. You come back and you sit with your higher self and you say, now that I've had that experience, what wisdom is there for me about me? When I contract, what is that telling me? What truth is being violated? How can I harmonize with greater truth in the days to come, self? When you break up with someone or you cut someone off or you stop talking to them, you need to sit with self before, during, and after. What self? The Ba. And you need to be honest. What do I need to see about myself? Because you're evolving. You can't evolve for them. Pointing out them is not going to evolve you, but pointing out how you interacted and resonated with them can cause you to ascend. Am I making sense? Your Ba, through the mind, your Ba projects and keeps together what we call the body. A lot of people want to love other people's Ba. Oh, I see you. I see you. I see your higher self. But you're going to see as we continue to learn that that's not the thing to do. The Ba is what makes us alike, but each person has their unique evolutionary needs. So the Ba, right, is a spark from the divine. Let's continue. The Ka, the Ka. I don't want to just see your Ba. Oh, we're so spiritual together. Yes, we believe the same thing. Yes, we want the same thing. Yes, we are saying the same words. But I don't know if that reflects your Ba, your higher self. How do I know what reflects your Ba? Well, it's in your evolutionary journey. Because there's nothing that you experience that you don't need to experience. There's nothing that you experience that you don't co-create. So we need to look at how you co-create, how you interpret it. Where are you evolving? What are your evolutionary needs? These are not some nice questions. A lot of times I ask people questions and they go, oh, nobody ever asked me that. Let me think about it. It lets me know that the soul hasn't been deeply touched because these are not even deep questions, but they're so much deeper than what people are used to. And it's my pleasure to do it, right? It's my pleasure to do it because I'm here to enlighten. Ashe, type in Ashe. Let's continue. The next part, the Ba. Now we have Ka. Hey, Jason, you like to be asked? Some people don't like to be asked questions. It's not that deep. I think you're taking it too far. They do all that. And then some people be like, I'm so glad you asked. I'm one of those people. Or sometimes questions cause people to get defensive. Why are you asking that? You think that? Am I doing something? They go like that. I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you. All right, the Ka. Now, Ka. We talked about the Ba, the higher self. The Ka, the abstract personality, the ego, the spirit twin, subconscious desires. This is your concept of self. I need to know you on the level of your Ka too. What is your self concept? Now, most people will tell you, oh, I think highly of myself. I know my worth, da 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 da. And that's fine. I'm not saying it's not true. But your self concept is shown in not what you attract, what you entertain. See, listen, let's talk about attraction real quick. You may attract a particular frequency called a person because your body is fulfilling your evolutionary needs. Okay? That's one reason. Because your body is fulfilling your evolutionary needs. Your higher self is saying they need to understand how to hold their ground. They need to understand how to overstand. They need to. So I'm going to bring in some beings that don't understand. And through this, they're going to be refined. That's one reason you may attract. You have an evolutionary need. You're not broken, according to Kemetic Spirituality. Now, if you want the brokenness philosophy, psychology, and spirituality, this is just not the place because I'm trying to enlighten, bring your mind up here so you can shift from higher frequencies as opposed to down here. Whenever you sat there and asked, why did I attract this? Oh my God, what in me? You felt on a low frequency, did you not? Or were you flying high, ascending? Which one? You can tell by the frequency where the philosophy is coming from. So the answer is I have evolutionary needs that I came here for. Remember, I read your ba. When you're done with your body, it may return to the universal ba, or it may seek other experiences in other spiritual astral realms, or you may return here. So if you are here, then you have evolutionary needs. That is why that situation came into your awareness. Do you have the answer now? Can you stop dwelling in that lower mind frequency that has you thinking you're broken and you got to find a broken frequency and fix it? The situation, the person, whatever came into your world to enhance you, to advance you. You're never making the wrong choice. Are there other choices? Sure. There are infinite amounts of choices, but only one can be made in every moment. And the one that is made is the one that needed to be made for your evolutionary journey. For your comfort? No. For you to look high and spiritual and mighty and above all law? No. So you could prove that you learned your lesson? No. I'm trying to help you. Okay. Are you receiving this help? Type yes if you are. I'm not regurgitating New Age philosophies and something that someone said on the video. I've spent years studying, researching, thinking, and asking the questions. I'm teaching about the 9 parts of the self. Okay. Your Ba, you know what your Ba is. Yes. Now your Ka, let's continue. It's your self concept. When I'm getting to know you, I would like to know what your self concept is. Are you powerless within yourself? Because your words may say, I know I'm not powerless. But when you get in a situation, you talk in from a powerless stance because your self concept, you don't think you operate in powerlessness. but you do. Anytime you use words like, they controlled me, I was forced, I was not allowed, it tells me what your self concept is. Your self concept is that of a person who can be overtaken. It tells me that you have a powerless self concept, even though you don't want to. I'm telling you what it means. Now, I'm not talking about just, something happens and you fuss a little bit and you go, oh, they did that to me. I'm so mad. Okay, no problem. That's step one. You got to acknowledge it, right? But when you have been telling that same story for a period of time, like months and years, and you have not elevated in the narrative, that tells me what your self concept is. Am I making sense? We're talking about knowing thyself. What is your true self concept? Not the one that sounds good, not the one that comes when you practice your affirmations, not the one you read about, but the one you live from. And if you find out, now here's the thing. So let me tell you from my experience, right? When I notice that someone has a lower frequency self concept and I say that to them, they may get upset and start defending the low frequency because the low frequency is all they've ever known. And it's kind of scary if someone walks in and says, you are operating in a powerless stance right now. They think you're invalidating their experience. I'm not, because we all have been there and we all must process through it until we no longer dip down to come up. But if you dip down into powerlessness, because you need the contrast of feeling powerless in order to come up, I get that. But in my experience, not only will they defend the low frequency, The Matrix, the movie told you that. They'll defend the low frequency. They'll say, they'll start blaming. You are to this. You are to that. But if a person is tired of being in that low frequency, they'll say, oh my God, yes, I see that. Or they'll say, okay, let me sit on that for a while. I'm trying to help you understand how to navigate with people and the idea of the Khat. If I notice that their self concept is lower than they want to believe it is, that's called a self preserving bias. We have a self preserving bias. We need to think of ourselves more highly than we actually exist in our inner world. We need to be seen more highly than we exist in our inner world. And it leads you into a sort of self delusion. Then you'll be wondering when a situation happened, how did I do that? Oh my God, how did I do that again? Because your self preserving bias is your blind spot. So you'll draw, hey, Ron, a person will come in and some kind of way say it, because sometimes it's not direct, but they'll say it and you'll get upset and you'll be like, see, that's why I was just being vulnerable. And that's why I don't tell people. And that's a person with a low self concept defending their attachment to the low frequency. And if they decide that they don't want to share with you anymore, that's their right. I say, because they might need to protect being down there for a little while because maybe their soul is not ready to ascend. I've had people say, this is what I believe and this is where I am and you can't make me be no other place than where I'm at. I'm not trying to make you, just as long as you know the seed is planted, the con is planted, and then we can move on, right? And I'm trying to help you stop trying to pull people up that are not ready to rise. Their Ka is not there right now. Their self concept. You see them from up here and they see themselves from down here. There's a story in the Bible of the Israelites. They sent some spies over to see a land that they were about to try to conquer. And the spies came back and said, we are like grasshoppers to them. They had a low self concept. A grasshopper is small and they are giants. That's how we see ourselves. Okay. When you have a low concept, you see this thing and you're like, we look like grasshoppers to them. So then another set of spies went in, and I think it included Joshua at that time, and they came back and was like, what? We could take them. Self-concept will determine how you move in this world. You got to know your own self-concept. It comes out in your words. When a person tells me you're intimidating, or you can be intimidating, I understand their self-concept, right? Because I have plenty of people who don't see me as intimidating because their self-concept is different. Their K-A. Y'all following me? Type yes if you are. So I got to go a little bit deeper into Khat today because the last teaching was on Ba. This one's on Khat. Okay. So if you know how to listen deeply, right, and you pay attention to it, you will know who's in front of you, right? Ka is your, according to Kemetic Spirituality, your abstract personality, ego, spirit twin, subconscious desires, concept of self. It's an ethereal. I always want to say ethereal. Thank you. So the word ether, right, lets you know that it's not physical. It's an ethereal body. It's a subtle body possessing the power of locomotion. It can move. It survives death and the physical body. It is the ethereal double containing the other parts. We have other parts. The concept of Ka was known in India, and the word was also known. The Indian god Brahma had a Ka, a soul twin. Now, we see this getting more and more specific, hey Skywalker, from the higher self to the self-concept, the ego personality. I want to go back here because we were having a conversation about ancestors last night, a friend of mine and I. And you see where it says the Ba may seek experience in one of the other bodies, the spiritual, astral bodies. Okay. These ancestors and spirit guides are available to you because they are in the ethereal realm. Sometimes, now this is not Kemetic teaching, I'm just kind of putting it out there. Sometimes their Ba, which has evolutionary needs, right, is in the spirit realms and may be benefited by you pouring libation or making an offering or uttering words of encouragement and such. I just want to put that out there. All right. Next, we're leaving the Ka and we're going to the Khat. 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 Abriana, I'm reading from Kemetic Yoga, the philosophy of enlightenment. Khat. This is the concrete personality and the physical body, the actual physical body. So the Khat is ethereal, double of your body. It's all the unseen, in other words. Okay. The Ba is the higher self. The Khat is the concrete personality of, let's say, Veronica and the physical body that you see. Next, the AB, Ab. We're moving along now. Ab, AB. The conscience, AB, of a man is his own God. The Ab, or conscience, is the source of the Meskhemet, which is known as karma. The Meskhemet, the Meskhemet, and the mother of reincarnation. You're welcome, Sean. The Ab represents the heart. It is the symbol of the mind, the conscience, and also the repository of subconscious desires, which cause the mind to be in a perpetual state of motion and charge called restlessness. Let's read that again. The Ab, or conscience, is the source of Meskhenet and the mother of reincarnation. The Ab. The Ab represents a few things. The heart, it is the symbol of the mind, the conscience, and is also the repository or space of the subconscious desires, which causes the mind to be in a perpetual state of motion and change. In other words, this is where we create our suffering from and attachments. As these desires can never be fulfilled by experiences or from objects in the world of time and space, at death, the ignorant soul will harbor unfulfilled desires, which will lead to further incarnations in search of fulfillment. So if you think that isolating yourself with your unfulfilled desires is going to cause you to enlighten, you can see right here that that's not quite the case. So let me read again. At death, the ignorant soul, see, this is not a threat of punishment or fear. This is just explaining a process, okay? There's no fear and punishment in this. It's like when you finish kindergarten, you go to first grade. And when you finish first grade, you go to second grade. And if you don't do your work, you might get held back. Does that make sense? Let me know. Let me know. If you just popped in, we're learning about the parts of the self. We're becoming more deeply enlightened. We're learning words beyond my ego this, my ego that. We're learning when we say I, what I we're actually talking about. Okay. So let me read it again. Well, let me ask you a question real quick. Why would you want to come out of some of the suffering that you create for yourself? Why would you want to take on some absolute universal truth belief systems? Why would you want to stop living with your old stories, old ways of being that don't resonate with truth? Why would you want to stop identifying with labels and getting offended and upset because someone said something about your label or you're not this or that? Why would you want to? Here's the answer. The ignorant soul will harbor unfulfilled desires, which will lead to further incarnations in search of this fulfillment. Peace, Galactic. This point is described in chapter 30, line 3 from the Egyptian book of Coming Forth by the Day. My heart, the mother of my coming into being. The Ab undergoes examination by Thoth, one's own wisdom, and one's own heart will fashion or mother one's own fate coming into being according to one's will and desires, which are based on one's understanding or wisdom about one's true self. So when you learn a truth about yourself, but you turn your head to it, you deny it, and you make up something else that feels better, what you're doing is setting yourself up to say no to your evolutionary journey and setting yourself up for another incarnation beyond this life to learn the lesson. If someone tells you, hey, you have a low self-concept, I can hear it. and how you talk. And you say, no, I don't. I know my self-worth. And you go throughout your life and you're mad at the person because they said that, and you harbor it and you hold it. You discard this body, you transition. It's saying that you're coming back for round two. It's your choice. So again, why would you want to practice self mastery beyond the comfort of this Khat, Khat? Why would you want to do that? It just don't make sense. But yet we will still hang on. No, I'm not. And I'm going to do this. And no, that's not the case. Or someone is in front of you giving you some enlightenment about your own soul, and you will turn your head and go for the comfort of it. That's what this is saying. So if you're saying, what I created this, if the situation is still here, then the AB, the mother of your experience, which is your heart and your wisdom, is saying you still need additional lessons, my child. And it's to your benefit to get these lessons. I'm not punishing you. I'm not holding you back. I'm lovingly giving you opportunities to stop doing this. Yeah, it's hard pills, but it's good medicine for your soul. So again, why would you stop fashioning your experiences after your comfort, what you feel good? Because what makes you feel good? Let's read this again. I'm going to read it again about desires. Right, Sean? Right. And so when you're dealing with other spiritual people, I'm teaching you how to know thyself, and also so you can know others. When you're dealing with other spiritual people and they have a habit of turning their head toward comfort, right? This helps you understand where they are in their evolutionary journey, and you can breathe and allow them, because they might need some more reincarnations. No matter how much you say, I don't want to reincarnate anymore, the proof is in the pudding. You're gonna, according to this. So it's an illusion if you think I'm going to hang on to this thing that produces restlessness, that takes me away from my higher self and my true self for the Khat comfort. You're in an illusion if you're thinking that you're not going to reincarnate again just because you don't want to. Okay, let's continue reading. I like reading, and I think I need my glasses now. Is this making sense? Let's continue. I want to read this. The ab undergoes examination by your own wisdom faculty. You're worrying about other people judging you, but you need to be in understanding of your own wisdom faculty, because that's what's going to judge. It says, Ab undergoes examination by Thot or Tehuti, one's own wisdom faculty, and one's heart will fashion or mother one's own fate. Your own wisdom is going to look and see. Did you really let this go? Did you see why you needed to? Or you still want to hang on for another round? You glad you caught the tidbit? Okay. Greetings, B-side. Okay. So when you discard your body, your own wisdom is going to fashion another experience tailored to your evolutionary needs, according to your will, your desires, which are based on your wisdom about yourself. If you know you have some habits that are dysfunctional, if you know you have some habits that lead you into lower vibrations and frequencies and lower connections, what you know about yourself is going to create your next experience, it's saying. So you could just know it. A lot of people are self-aware. A lot of people are aware, and they will say you, I'm aware that I do this. I'm aware. But what are you doing with it? Are you evolving out of it, or are you just sitting with it because it feels comfortable? And are you just asking other people to sit with it too? I'm going to tell you right now, a person on a high frequency who is into this kind of study is not going to sit with you in mess. They're not. They're going to tell you, right, in love, because they don't have time to sit there. That means that instead of evolving, they got to come back down and sit down with you for a period of time and work on accepting what you are comfortable with. Hello, the one they counted out. Now, there's nothing wrong with sitting with a person and helping them come up if they're coming up, if they want to come up, if you have the capacity. Okay, let's continue. Thus, the new is fashioned in accordance to what he or she has done in previous lives. So you know how y'all be fussing about, I'm not that anymore. I'm new. But the person in front of you is showing you that you actually do have the frequencies of the old. When you deny it and blame them for judging you, you keep that within yourself and you limit your knowledge of self. Am I saying that needs to lower your self-concept? No. When your self-concept is built in by the undestructible part of yourself, nothing that anyone can say will lower it or will lower it significantly. So don't you think the work is there as opposed to working to find someone who just will not judge you? This is the reality of the phrase that it all begins with you. All right, I'm going to read one more and then we're going to call it to a close. Actually, because we just finished with the ab, I want to read more of it. The conscience or, oh, sorry, I missed the line. This is King Thutmose III, his description of the heart. A guide in my affairs. The conscience or heart of a human is his and her own God. When you say I am God, what are you talking about? Your Khat? What part of you is God? It's not your soul consciousness. I'm grateful too. When you say I know I'm God, what part is God? What part do you identify as God? The part that says I want what I want and I can have it and I always get what I want. Is that the God part that you're talking about? Or you talking about your body? I'm God, so I know my body is craving 10,000 donuts and it's going to give me diabetes, and I'm God, so I'm not going to have diabetes. I mean, like, and people think like this. I'm not even being facetious. I'm saying it because people do think like this. When you talk about I am God, what part are you talking about? I'm not going to let nobody treat me such a such way. I'm God. That is your ka. And your Khat. And you can always know a person, right, who really knows what they're saying when they say, I know I'm the divine. I know I'm God. I know I am divine, right? Because they give you Ba language. And they don't confuse higher self for Ka. And they don't confuse intuition for suspicion. And they don't confuse fear for love, right? This is a learning process. And if you know you do some of these things, there's an opportunity to shift it, right? All right, my glasses, back. The way I look at the screen and the way I look at the book is different in terms of vision. So that's why I got to keep taking the glasses off and putting them on. Okay. The conscience or the ab is the part of our consciousness which registers our feelings, intent, and desire. Since the universe is mental, One's thoughts are of a great importance to one's evolution. Thoughts are controlled by one's conscience, one's perception of reality, which is dictated by one's level of wisdom, one's level of reality, one's subconscious understanding of reality. If one understands oneself to be a mortal individual, one will live by one's life experiences. One's level of consciousness can be raised by a conscious effort to grow in wisdom through the practice of virtue, self-discipline, control over the mind, and the study of nature through science and or spiritual teachings. Did y'all get that? So this is a video that you might have to revisit over and over and over again and take notes. Thoughts are controlled by one's conscience. In other words, you have thoughts because of what's in your heart, the type of thoughts you have, right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Hey, Carl. The reason you have certain thoughts or the reason you have certain thoughts or interpretations is based on your perception of reality, which is dictated by one's level of wisdom. Some people have a perception of reality that is not dictated by universal truth. It's dictated by fear. So if you try to talk to them from universal truth, they will resist universal truth because the fear is too strong. They live in a perception of reality of fear. Your thoughts that you have are dictated by the way you see reality according to the wisdom that you have. And that's why you need to get around some people who have greater and greater levels of wisdom so you can increase your levels of wisdom, or read books or watch videos, increase your wisdom, because the thought you have is going to depend on that. For example, a 5-year-old might be like, "You don't love me. Give me my book back." That's the level of their wisdom. If someone is not treating you right, take the thing back, because it was giving to get. That's their level of wisdom. So if you try to apply some kind of complex idea or philosophy with a 5-year-old, you're not going to get anywhere. There's some adults who have that same limitation. You try to explain something to them, but because they are limited in their information about the world and wisdom and stuff, they will tussle with you and resist or say you're crazy or something of that nature. So your thoughts depend on your own wisdom, what you have, your knowledge of reality. For example, going back to a child may look up in the sky and think the clouds are monsters coming to get us. That's their knowledge of reality. Then you would insert a higher knowledge of reality. This is what a cloud is. And then someone may insert a higher level of reality. What you're looking at is not even a cloud, it's this. And it goes on and on and on. So this is why you need people around you who are also advancing. You need people. When I first started homeschooling, I was given the best advice. Give the children things to read that are below their level, at their level, and far beyond their level. That's going to help them in mastery. That's going to help you in life. Okay. Your thoughts depend on other people and what they did and what they said about you. That's why you think that? No. It's your perception of reality, which is dictated by your level of wisdom, your knowledge of reality, and your subconscious understanding of reality. Not only are your thoughts influenced by what is conscious, they are also influenced by what is subconscious. When you talk, if a person knows how to listen, or when people talk, if you know how to listen, you can hear what's in their subconscious. Now, sometimes they don't like that, right? Because they don't want to believe that something in their subconscious is on a lower frequency. They don't like that. They don't feel comfortable with the idea that they are everything. So then they will want to hide that. And so if you hear it and you say, hey, this is what I hear. No, I don't believe that. I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say this and this and that. And they will go into a whole tizzy. And, I've had this experience, and you may have too, where you actually use a person's words that they used and they refute that. No, no, I don't feel that, but you just said that. No, no, I didn't say that. Okay. Maybe you've done that, right? Because the subconscious, when you don't spend a lot of time allowing it to rise to the surface so you can see what's in, you will think that that's not part of you. And then you will tussle with words. Okay, let's continue. If one understands oneself to be a mortal individual, meaning you don't believe there's anything deeper than where you're at. Sometimes I've asked a person something so simple like, what caused you to be angry? I wasn't angry. Okay. What did you expect or hope would happen? I didn't expect anything. I didn't hope for anything. Okay. I just said it. That's a person who sees reality on that level, and they're not going to be able to go deeper unless they have an idea that deeper exists. Then they might say, well, what'd you hear? Tell me again. Or what else? They'll stop and do something like that. But a lot of times people will fight and tussle for the level they're at, even though they're saying they want to go higher. This happens. You can hear it. I'm talking to other spiritual people because sometimes you're coming in contact with people who seem to be spiritual. They're spiritual looking. They also have spiritual things to say, but you don't know how deep their spirituality goes. These are some ways, and these are some ways that you can know how deep your own spirituality goes. And there is no condemnation here because there's levels and sub levels to everything, and nobody has arrived. With that being said, some people have mastered some things that you haven't, and you've mastered some things that other people haven't. But understand that this is an endless cycle of becoming. Okay. If one understands oneself to be a mortal individual, one will live in such a manner and will develop mental concepts, conscious and sub, which will be reinforced by life experiences. In other words, you don't have any spiritual practice. You go to work, come home, go to work, come home. You don't expand your mind. You don't talk to other people who help expand it. You don't participate in expanded conversations. You don't look deep within yourself. Then you're going to be limited there. And there are some people like that. And even though you may see the potential of the Ba, the reality is, according to their own conscious and subconscious practices, they are reinforced by their own life experiences. It's not that deep. I remember when I used to use the word program, I was dealing with a person and I said, such and such program. I was just talking like I talk. And she got really upset and she was like, everything is not a program. Everything is not a program. Some things just are what they are. And I recognized she was getting flustered by the thought that there was something deeper that she couldn't see. And I said, I get how you see that. I get it. So note to self, I'm not going to be able to have that type of conversation with her. I don't have to say, oh, she low vibration. She this, she that. Nah, I see what this is. And it is well with me because we're all on our evolutionary journey. Is this helpful? I'm coming to an end here. One's level, let me go back one more thing. People think because they keep having the same experience over and over again that that's all there is to life. For example, you've had a string of bad relationships, so you think you're not good at relationships because your level of reality is reinforced by your experiences. One's level of consciousness can be raised by a conscious effort to grow in wisdom. How do you grow in wisdom? It's through practices. Sometimes I ask people, what are their spiritual practices? And I can tell where they go with their spirituality based upon that answer. There's levels to it. Some people say, I just pray to myself. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people say, I don't pray. Some people say, oh, I have crystals, I have sage, I have whatever. I use essential oils, I go in nature. Some people say, I meditate, I do yoga, I every day. But what I'm really looking for me personally, is the practice of raising consciousness. How do you do that? Your consciousness is raised through the practice of virtue, self-discipline, and the study of nature through science or spirituality. It's a practice. It's not just you watch this YouTube video and now you said, I am living, my consciousness is raised. It is temporarily raised because you are feasting and interacting with a high frequency of Kemetic spirituality. It's like when people would go to church and they would hear the word, Jesus said, they're like the seeds that got planted on shallow ground. And so when the farmer sowed the seed, life came, the birds, and ate it up. So you could listen to this and feel very enlightened and inspired. Now there are the practices that you need. If any of this sounds foreign and you want to really learn more or do more, you can sign up for coaching, one-on-one coaching on my website at veronicamarie.com. It's a coaching session. It's not a conversation session where we just exchange ideas. It's a coaching session. A coaching session has a goal. There is strategy. There is self-work. Your consciousness can be raised through the practice of virtue, self-discipline, control over the mind. This is not suppression of the mind. This is about shifting the mind according to universal truth. And if you stay stuck and attached to things that are not true, then you can't raise your consciousness in that area. And the study of nature through science and or spiritual teachings. That's the law of correspondence. If you want to understand something higher, you can look at the lower plane. And if you want to understand something lower, you can look at the higher plane. If you want to understand the body, you can look at what we call the universal system. If you want to understand the universal system, you can look within the body. If you want to understand why your relationships are going the way that they are going, you can look within self and your processes. If you want to understand your processes, you can look and listen to other people. As within, so without. As above, so below. All right. So I'm going to stop right here and we're going to restart this conversation tomorrow around the same time. We're going to continue with the Ab. If you just popped in, we've been learning about the parts of the self. Much gratitude, Ashe. You have your Ba, you have your Ka, you have your Khat, and you have your Ab. All right. Ashe. That's it. Thank you for being here, Sean. Let me make sure I follow you. Good. If you're new here, welcome. I am a myriad of things. Okay. So, how can you work with me? First, I'm an emotional wellness and spiritual coach. You're welcome. So, if you need help in that area, you can sign up at my website at veronicamarie.com. If you don't see times that work, then send me a message here and I'll get back with you. Okay. Don't just come straight to me. Go through the website and see what's there and then come back if you don't find a time that works for you. I am a personal trainer. So if you need to get your Khat, Khat, in order, let's talk about personal training sessions. I'm a nutritional specialist. If you need to get your Khat, Khat, in order, then you can sign up for a session and let's discuss how to put you on a path of enlightenment through transforming your body. I also am a tantric guide, right? And so tantric yoga is about presence in the body, simply put. That means a lot of things, but mostly it's presence in the body. I also am a yogi and a yoga instructor. I teach yoga classes. I also offer one-on-one yoga sessions. And as well, you can find that on my website or reach out to me if you don't find what you're looking for. I have a digital library, a growing digital library of books to help you on your journey. These books are very foundational to any way to know yourself. They're very practical. These are coaching books, so it's practical. There's a lot of things that you can do and start doing today. I teach in my books. So my books are generally not something you can scan and just move on. You actually need to sit there and ponder the questions. And why should you ponder the questions? So you can know thyself. And then you can ask other people these questions also, right? It's everything you didn't know you needed, right? And my first book is called Self Intimacy, A Beginner's Guide of Self-Discovery. If you don't know how emotions work and you don't have a good handle on emotions and emotional conversations, if you're trying to restructure your past and your narrative to come into something that is more fruitful for your existence, that's a good book for you. It helps you know yourself on a psychological, energetic level so that you can converse and relate with others. Okay. And it changed my life too, Khan, because I would go over that book as I was editing it, and it would just kind of spark new ideas and new ways of being within me also. My last book is called Presence. It's for the empowered empath who is tired of being drained and absorbing other people's energy. And you want to know strategy, how to talk to people in a strategy, what to look for, what to hear for. That book is for you if you want to help people without relying on your own pain, your own knowledge, and your own projections, because that's what drains you. Okay. The other two are short reads, easy and light. One is like a devotional. You just read what's there every day and put it into practice. And the other is for people who are just coming out of codependency. You don't really know how to express your needs. You feel uncomfortable. I offer support in that book. And the last one that I keep adding to that isn't out yet is shadow work, esoteric shadow work. So there we infuse hermetic principles into shadow work. There is more to shadow work than inner child healing. If you stay in the inner child loop, then you're going to stay immature in spaces within when you really need higher perspectives. Your inner child will integrate or grow with you. Your 5-year-old self should not stay 5 years old for a long time in you when you are addressing the needs of your inner 5-year-old. We don't try to keep the 5-year-old 5. You stay right here. It's all right. I'm going to protect you. No, a 5-year-old must grow. So if you continue to loop in your inner child healing and you still have that inner child in there, still kind of coming up and taking over conversations or reacting to them, or saying things that you don't want to say, or thinking things, even if you don't say them, that you don't want to think, there's an opportunity to grow from that. Hey, Kim, that's it. My name is Coach Veronica Marie. You can find me on other platforms as the same, just hashtag Veronica Marie. I'll pop up. And that's it for today. Peace to y'all. Have a beautiful creation. Bye now.